we found that in two-thirds of federal prisons that housed female inmates had been sexually assaulted by members of prison staff. We found that at the U.S. Penitentiary in Atlanta, in my home state of Georgia, for nearly a decade, unchecked corruption and civil rights abuses had been ongoing with the knowledge of the leadership of the Bureau of Prisons, and no effective action had been taken to address them. Pretrial detainees sleeping in paper pajamas, denied access to counsel, denied access to hygiene products, denied access to fresh air. Pre-trial, presumptively innocent federal detainees. The human rights crisis behind bars in the United States is a stain on America's conscience. And Mr. President, we just passed the most significant federal prison reform legislation in many years. And now it's on the way to the desk of the President of the United States. I am grateful to my colleague, Senator Braun of Indiana, for joining me in authoring and introducing the Federal Prison Oversight Act, which has now been passed by the Senate and the House. This is landmark prison reform legislation. It will require the Inspector General of the Department of Justice to undertake ongoing and regular inspections of every single federal prison in the United States. It will establish an independent ombudsman at the Department of Justice to investigate the health, safety, welfare, and rights of incarcerated people and staff, who will also create a secure hotline and an online form for family members, friends, and representatives of incarcerated Americans to submit complaints and inquiries. It will require the IG to report the findings from its routine inspections of federal prisons and recommendations to Congress and to the public, and require the Bureau of Prisons to respond to all inspection reports within 60 days with a corrective action plan. We were able to pass this legislation because we worked together. Senator Johnson and I leading multiple bipartisan investigations of human rights abuses and corruption in the federal prison system. Senator Braun and I forming the Prison Policy Working Group to develop bipartisan solutions like this one. I'm grateful to my colleague from Georgia in the U.S. House, Representative McBath, for her tireless efforts to shepherd this bill to passage in the U.S. House. And today we passed it on the floor of the Senate. I'm grateful for the support of my colleagues, and let the leadership of the Bureau of Prisons know that the United States Congress will no longer tolerate the wanton and ongoing and widespread abuse of those who are in their custody. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.